we're here with Louie. Hi, Louie.
Hi, good to see you. Hi, good to be here again. Lovely to have a chat.
Fab, thank you. Well, we're going to talk about CQC today.
Yeah.
So you just want to tell us who you are and what you do, Louie?
Yeah, so my name is Louie. I'm the Director of Care Research. And over the last 6 to 8 months, a big piece of work we're doing is training services to understand the new CQC framework. We also do a lot of work around feedback, so surveys for residents, family, staff and partners, which is a big part of the new framework. And we're also doing some work around helping staff become confident to speak with CQC. There's lots of emphasis on care staff having phone calls with CQC. So those are the three main things that we do. Training on the framework, surveys, and developing staff to be confident to speak with CQC.
So obviously there's been a whole load of changes from the CQC recently. People didn't like it before. People don't like it now, some people do.
Yeah.
You know, what's going on? Give me an update. What's
the people
happening?
don't like it thing is human nature.
Yeah.
You know, no one liked their head teacher, and then you hit your 40s and you go, oh, actually, the head teacher was quite nice. Now, I'm not saying that's the case with CQC, but no one likes being observed. No one likes authority or power that's over them. That's tricky.
There's a certain subset of people who do like that.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, we won't go into that. But time on a bike can go in many directions. We won't go in that one.
No, sorry. Sorry, no.
We only took 1 minute for us to go down that, didn't it? That is what happened.
Completely off topic. Right, let's get back to it. CQC,
what I would say, the challenge with CQC is that it's a huge shift. And I think what services feel frustrated about is that CQC, bless them, haven't done a great job of communicating. They've been drip feeding information, there have been changes, and I think what people have really struggled with is getting onto the solid ground of like, okay, what is actually going to happen? When is it going to happen? What do I do about it? I think that's been the gap that we've been trying to plug. Just help services understand the new framework, understand what's happening, and understand how to move with it. So I think there are lots of great positive changes, and actually when we do our training, a lot of services go, actually, I'm quite excited about this new framework. The problem, bless them, is that the comms hasn't been very strong, and that's been where a lot of the heartache has come from. People just don't know what's happening next and what to do next.
And I guess with a huge change like that, you would imagine there's a huge new influx of resources, but there hasn't been for them, has there?
No, and from what CQC have said themselves, that's almost been on purpose, because it's all our fault. I talk about us as the care sector. We all moaned and moaned and moaned. Like, oh, CQC, it's just a tick box exercise. Oh, CQC are giving us too many things. You know, they had 350 Chloe prompts. So what CQC have done, they've kind of gone, right, okay, here's the quality statements, here's the evidence categories, you work out what it means for your service. And there's something very empowering about that. There's also something very scary, because you don't have that massive checklist. Some people love a checklist. It enables them to do what they want to do and know that they're in the parameters. Really, CQC have been the checklist, and I think that's what people have been quite nervous about. There hasn't been a huge influx of, if you run a residential service, this is how you do each thing. They've really stepped back.
I guess they've never been like that specifically. They have there. I mean, I guess lots of government like those bodies, and they like to offer a framework rather than specific. You know, do this thing equals good. Do this thing. They like to say, this is what we feel is the outline of that.
But if you look at the old Chloe prompts, it really was that. You know, there were 350 of them, and it really was blow by blow, do this, do this, do this. The new framework, you've got these quality statements, which literally are 34 sentences. They're 1 to 2 sentences each. And suddenly you've gone from, let's take something like SAFE. SAFE used to be 20 pages of Chloe prompts. SAFE is now about 11 sentences across the 8 quality statements. You can get all of it on one slide on a PowerPoint, and that is something I think people are going, oh, that feels vulnerable.
Because that underneath the framework, those are still the same.
The regulations are the same.
Well-led.
Yeah, safe, effective, caring, responsive, and well-led. The best way to remember it.
He knows his stuff.
The best way to remember it, unfortunately, is SCREW. Safe, caring, responsive, effective, well-led.
Okay.
So you've still got those.
That still underpins the inspection.
But what we've got underneath those, you've got quality statements. You've got 8 for safe, you've got 7 for response, 5 for caring, 7 for responsive, 6 for effective, and 8 for well-led. So you've got all these different areas, and underneath those, you've got all of the evidence categories. People's experiences, that's residents and families. Feedback from staff and leaders, that's your staff. Feedback from partners, that's your partners. And then processes and observations. If you're home care, you don't even have observations. So there's a lot of extra stuff coming under safe, effective, caring, responsive, well-led. So but you don't have the granular detail.
So they've sort of slimmed it down, but widened it out all at the
Totally.
same time.
So they've gone, instead of going safe is these dot to dot things to do, they've gone safe are these broad areas and evidence is good luck. And I think it's valuable.
So if I'm like a care home, and I had my last inspection in 2019, and I got a good, what should I be doing? Should I change anything? Should I do anything?
The first thing you need to do is you need to get your head around the quality statements, because CQC aren't going to assess you in their entirety. They're going to pick a set of quality statements. First of all, you need to get your head around the 5 priority quality statements. You can see those on the website. Those are the 5 quality statements will definitely be assessed. There may be other ones as well, but 99.9% of the time, those ones will be assessed. So you need to get your evidence. The main thing
I guess if I was well organised already, I would probably have a folder on the shelf for each one, or maybe
you want a folder on a computer.
Yeah, on the computer as well.
The folder on the shelf. The problem is CQC aren't going to be turning up as much. So what you don't want to be doing is having to scan 5,000 care plans because they need it digitally. So you need to make sure it's done digitally. The other big thing to start on is feedback. 3 out of the 5 evidence categories are feedback. So, surveys for residents and families, surveys for staff, surveys for partners, one-to-one appraisals. You need to do feedback well. 61% of your evidence in the new framework is feedback. 68% if you're home care. So if you want to gain or retain a good or outstanding, you have to do feedback well. So that's most people are fine with observations, they're fine with processes evidence. They've been doing that for 10, 15, 20 years. It's the feedback evidence that a lot of services have to switch and go, I need to work on that. So I guess
to summarise that idea, if I'm in that specific situation, I should sit down, get a cup of tea, lock the door, 5 or 6 hours, go through all the quality statements, get my head around them all, and then go on a feedback mission.
Totally.
That,
Or lock yourself in the room for 2 minutes, ping me an email, and we'll do all of that for you. So obviously our training day helps whole teams get the framework, go, okay, I know what's going on. And obviously we run the whole feedback survey process for services, which means that you don't have to deal with the data. You get all of that from us, and then you do the change, which is what a lot of services are passionate about. So, if you're the first thing to do, ping us an email. We can tell you where to go next and what to do. I think it's hard. It's hard to get started on this. It's hard to work out what to do first.
And what's the top tip that you've got for someone then? For
I've got about 1,000.
For kind of I don't know, maybe. Like we said, you and me have discussed before the day, the inspection, and not thinking about it as a day. Maybe that would be a good tip,
I think the first thing is to get your head away from the idea of, it's an inspection day. The old framework was like kind of Toby Carvery. You turn up, big plate, loads of meat, loads of veg, loads of gravy, one big mega meal. That's what the old framework was like. One inspection day, one big performance. The new framework is like tapas. Little snacks of evidence. You've got 10 quality statements, 1 inspection. Another set of quality statements are later down the line, another inspection. When they turn up that day, they're not collecting everything that day. They're doing the observation that day, and all the other evidences they're going to be collecting over time after that day. So move away from that mindset of the inspection day and be ready to show evidence in a more ongoing way. And then alongside that, beef up your feedback. You cannot do well if you haven't got the 68% of evidence, which is feedback, or 61% if you're residential. You need to do feedback well. You can have the most amazing observations, the most amazing process evidence. If your feedback evidences aren't scoring well, it will tank everything. You can't do well on 32% of the evidence they're collecting.
That makes sense.
Move away from the inspection day mindset and really think about that feedback process.
And you would imagine that most places already collect some form of feedback, and maybe it's just about redirecting that, going in a bit harder, making sure that those bits of feedback are put in the right place.
It's concentrating on building them around the quality statements, building them around the scoring processes of 1 to 4, making sure that CQC don't have to think and interpret this, making sure that you've got evidence documents. They don't want to receive a 40-page Excel sheet from SurveyMonkey. You need to give them the meaning. So you need to process that information and make it digestible.
Executive
relevant.
Summary with the data to back it up.
Exactly. And what we do, we make sure that each quality statement has its own question, each question has its own document. You've got the results, you've got the scores, you've got the commentary, you've got any of the comments that have been left, you've got space for the service to make a response. In one visual gulp, CQC have got everything on that page. That's the sort of thing that we suggest services do. Obviously, it's something that we provide as well. But you need to move away from, Here's all the survey responses we got. You want to make this job easy for them.
And I guess ultimately, by asking for feedback, you will uncover, because no business is perfect.
Nope.
You will uncover things that you can fix before you can work towards. You're always going to have issues.
One of the powers of doing feedback well is it's not just evidence, it's change management. So if things are going great, hooray, here's some evidence of how great we're going. If things are going wrong, that doesn't mean that the surveys are a waste. Quite the opposite. It means that you know what they're going to tell CQC, because CQC are going to start calling staff, calling families, possibly even speaking to residents. You know from these surveys now, this is the sort of stuff they're going to come out with when CQC call us.
So if they fill out and they say, I'm not comfortable, I'm a team member, I'm not comfortable with how the medication's handled.
Yeah, or I don't get enough travel time between my home care shifts.
Yeah.
Or even, especially because we're an independent group, people tell us everything. It might be, we believe so-and-so in this group, is really gossiping and we're struggling to work with them. These are bits of information that you want to hear. And we often say, look, if people tell us bad stuff, that's fine. You want them to tell us. You want them to tell you. What you don't want is for all these problems to be unresolved, and then when CQC phone them and say, tell us what it's like to work in this service, that it all comes out. So we need to make sure that we're doing feedback so that we can monitor issues, hopefully nip them in the bud, so that when CQC do their feedback collection as well, not only have you got a great body of evidence for you to share with them, you also hopefully dealt with some of those problems that without this process might have tanked your CQC rating, because they are scoring what people say as well.
And I think an interesting point to cover might be the response rate that CQC is expecting.
So this is a really interesting one. So we've been doing this for a long time. We've been doing it for 6 years now, and we're getting really good response rates. We're getting kind of 60% response rates, and that's really strong. I think what we've found is that people like us, for example, doing it because actually, if your manager sends you a survey about their own service, how open and honest do you want to be? Whereas if an independent group is getting that sent through, suddenly it's like, oh, they're taking it seriously. I can be honest, I'm not going to get in trouble here. The response rates shoot up. The other thing about response rates is CQC aren't going to get great response rates doing their own thing. So we know that CQC have had services with 100 staff members. They've got like 9 responses back, and they felt that was a good level of response.
Yeah, out of 100.
Out of 100. So we're literally 9%.
Yeah.
We're getting 56%. And what that means is that CQC have to listen to what you're presenting because there's more of it. It's more valuable than the 9 people they managed to get hold of. So I think anything you can do that is, to be blunt, better in terms of response rate means that CQC have to take note of it. They can't just rely on their own phone calls. They can't just rely on their own conversations because they've spoken to 5 people, you've got data from 25 people. So it just gives what you're doing extra clout. It makes CQC listen.
Yeah. And I've got one last, final, very important question for you.
Where's this going to go?
Alternative milks. What's your favourite?
Alternative
milks.
Milks. Do you know what? Everyone's going to hate me. I don't think I've drank an alternative milk.
You've never drank one?
Not knowingly, not purposely.
Okay.
So I think I've tried almond milk. They all just have an aftertaste. The problem is I've spent 30 plus years drinking milk. So all the other milks taste like milk with another thing in it. Or they taste really thin. I don't like thin, I like thick milk. That's going to be a great. Just put that on your next Care Show advert. Louie likes thick milk. Next,
Gold Top.
Oh yes.
Gold Top,
so this is a weird birthday tradition I have. So as you can tell, I need to sort my body out because it's a mess. So I try and sort of eat healthy, except for my birthday. On my birthday, all rules go out the window, and one of the things I do on my birthday is I buy Gold Top solid full cream milk, and I drink it, and my wife is repulsed by me, and I don't care because it's that good.
Just kind of squirty cream, bang in there.
All the dairy, just brie, just dangling from the ceiling.
Just cheese everywhere.
It's a vegan's nightmare. But yeah, so I'm still sticking with my cows for now. Fine. I don't agree with how they're doing it, by the way. Just if this comes to light in 30 years' time, I don't agree with how it's happening, but it's really blooming good milk.
Right, well, thank you very much for coming to see us, Louie.
Thank you for having me. Great to see you.
Right, we will be back shortly.